Let's do a quick transition. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, and I think you do this at an elite level, is I always admired your ability to network. And so I want you to talk about how you were able to land the various summer internships you received during law school.
Of course. That's actually that I think that was like my biggest takeaway from law school was it was so awesome to build such a extensive network in the Bay Area. And for those of you listening, I'm not from here. I didn't know anyone here when I got here. And so everyone I know was someone that like I have reached out to or like friends of friends, friends of other mentors. So I'm really proud of that to have built that network here. But I think that, okay, honestly, it's just really important to me to have a good network. And like, I worked for you and like working for you, I didn't know, first of all, that I was going to have such a great experience working at your firm, but I also didn't know who you knew. So when like, for example, I applied for this program my first year of law school for like this summer clerkship program in Santa Clara. Well, you went to Santa Clara Law, and so I remember I walked into the interview for that program to work at another law firm in Oakland, and the guy was like, "Oh, you worked with Broderick." Broderick was like one of my best friends in law school, and it was just so nice to have that during the interview. But then I like followed up with that guy and talked with him, and then so then there's like two connections from that, and so that helped me get that summer position. Also, I wanted to work at a tech company while I was in law school because I was in San Francisco. There were amazing opportunities. So I had set my sights on a handful of tech companies, and then I really just looked them up on LinkedIn, and I was like, who is in my network that like knows someone who works at Indiegogo, for example. And so again, it was like through connections that like I noticed on LinkedIn, and just asking other like people that you maybe have a stronger connection with, like Broderick, please put me in touch with like this person. Like, do you know them that well? Can you please vouch for me? And just like, it helps to have an ask. So if you have someone and you're like sending them like a 2-second email and just being like, hey, look, Broderick, I know you're really busy, but like I can see that you're connected to like this person I really want to have coffee with. Can you please put me in touch with them? And just being gracious to both parties, and being really nice. It's amazing how far those connections can get you. And like, I've really met some of the most amazing lawyers that way, just by like using the tools available to me and just like being polite and like having an ask. And I really do think that good people want to help other good people. And so, you have to be your own best advocate. I think that a lot of law students get trapped in the place where they're like, oh, well, no one cares about me, and I don't want to impose on my mentor's time, or I don't want to impose on Broderick to like send an email
Yeah,
on behalf.
yeah, because I think I sent an email to Akshay,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
and then you guys connected, and I think that might have led to other things for you too, like
Yeah, and it was like through that connection through Akshay. Akshay was able to vouch for me, so I got that internship at Indiegogo while I was in law school. That was huge. I loved that job. So it was really, yeah, it was just really great. I just believe in the power of advocating for yourself in that way. Like that's how I got my current post bar job, which is now like been my current job since I graduated. But I just emailed the firm and I was like, hey, y'all look really awesome. Here's my resume. Like, I know you're not actively hiring, but like, I'd love to talk to someone and actually I ended up just like reaching out on LinkedIn to one of the young associates. And I was like, hey, your firm sounds really awesome. Would you be open to having like a 15-minute phone conversation? And she was so kind. And she told me about how much she loved her job at the firm. And it was a cannabis firm. It was like through that connection and really just putting yourself out there. I think it's about being vulnerable and like, again, ready to, even if you get rejected or you fail, like that's okay. You're just going to keep back and like, you're going to get back up and like do it all over again until it works out. I think that's like a big part of the networking that I like to share with other people is like, it's okay. And then when it does work out, it's really beneficial.
Shout out to Rom. I think that was the attorney you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but can you give everyone a perspective of how many reach outs or cold emails that you were sending out that led to the various positions that you received through your networking? Like how much networking were you doing? And because I think a lot of times people may send out a couple messages and they may not see any fruits from their labor, and then they may just quit or stop doing that. But how much were you reaching out to people?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think it is all a numbers game. It helps if you are reaching out in a very pointed way. So like going through people that you already know, that helps. But I was, I could send 20 cold emails in a weekend and I might hear one back, maybe from one or two, but like you really do have to just stay on it and like be persistent. Sometimes I'd follow up with people like for like the current job I have right now, I had to follow up with them because I never heard anything from them. And I was like, I'm just going to follow up with them because they definitely want to hear from me, and just following up with them. And they were actually really appreciative of that. They're like, hey, we're so sorry. Like, we do want to talk to you, but like, we've just been really swamped. And I think that happens pretty often. But like I said, it helps when, the numbers game is an important part of it, and just like reaching out and staying persistent. But then if you can be really pointed and being like, okay, if Broderick is friends with Rom, like, I need Broderick to put me in touch with that person. So it's not just like a cold email that they can just kind of like ignore from their inbox.
Right. What, tell us about your decision to do a study abroad, because you did a study abroad at some point in law school.
Oh yeah. I studied in Mexico City, which was awesome. That was my second summer, which is really funny because everyone tells you about how important your second summer is, because it can really line you up for a post-bar position. If you work at a firm that is offering post-bar positions, like it's a great way to basically try out and like make connections. I, at the time, was so stressed with law school. I was like, I literally don't care about that. I just want to like have a great experience that's going to like, something else I can add to my resume, but also that like working internationally sounds like a really amazing, unique experience that is really just open. Like for me, that was so attainable going to USF, and it would be a lot harder for me to get that role now. So I think it's a great opportunity for law school students to take advantage of during their 3 years. So I really advise that people do that, because it's just really unique. And every interview I have and people see that, they ask about it, because they're like, how did you work in Mexico City? Like how does that, it's like, it's such a unique experience that people always want to hear about it. And I really loved it.
Was that just a work, or was it a work and a class component?
So it was just a summer work, internship, clerkship. We had to do a few classes for USF, but it was like three or four classes throughout the whole summer. So, but going to school abroad would also be a great program. With my schedule and the classes I wanted to take, it just never worked out. But the summer work program was great.